Hi coworkers of mine and people who may have stumbled onto this video. So today's tea comes with several warnings. I would highly advise that you take them into full consideration before adding it into your diet. So warning number 1, if you're pregnant, may be pregnant or suspected of being pregnant, it is highly advisable for you to not consume this tea. If you choose to add this to your diet, make sure you consult with a medical professional first. By some miracle that they say yes, make sure you clarify which species of this plant that you're allowed to consume and what is the safe amount for you to consume. Warning number 2, if you have history of seizure or if you're allergic to plants such as mint, sage, or tarragon, make sure you consult a medical professional first before adding this to your diet. Due to the particular chemical compound known as the drug that is found in this plant is a lot higher than what the previous plant was mentioned. This particular chemical compound may affect the brain in a certain way that causes seizure. However, no major study has been done in recent times. So, on the safe side, consult a medical professional. Warning number 3, even if you are healthy and you don't have a history of seizure and you're not allergic to any of the plants that was previously mentioned, make sure you don't consume this particular tea in large amount or over extended period of time. Even though I have added this tea to my diet for a number of years now, I don't consume more than half a teaspoon per month. The only time I make an exception is when certain member of my family member decide to show off their culinary skills. And that's the only time I make the exception of consuming just a little more, a quarter teaspoon more for extra day. Anyway, warning number 4, due to the nature of what this tea is used for, some of the description may be a little disturbing, especially if you're eating. I will try to give you a warning later on in the video. I would advise you to skip it if you're eating. If not, I hope that you learn to take precaution in preparing and cooking food that you handle. Warning number 5, I believe. This particular tea has a very unique taste. It's very acquirable for some. Okay, who am I kidding? This tea is extremely bitter, so let's get on with the tea for today. So today's tea is going to be Wormwood tea. It has this light green color, even though I only use a little bit of it. So Wormwood, also known as Artemisia, Absinthium. I'm pretty sure I'm mispronouncing it, but here is a bag I recently purchased. I misplaced my last bag that flew to spring cleaning. I hope it turns up because that bag was still pretty full. Anyway, into the recent decade, this particular plant has been very restricted in the US due to its relation with the drink called absinthe. Absinthe, also known as green fairy, was said to have been produced by monks somewhere in the mountain, and it gained popularity among the population in the late 1800s and lasted into the early 1900s. Not everyone was happy with the rise in popularity in absinthe, especially wine producer. Due to several bad harvests in grape, the price in wine skyrocketed. Not many people can afford it, so people looked to alternative options in their alcohol consumption. They turned to absinthe mostly due to its alcohol content and maybe certain chemical that is present in the ingredient that is used that may affect the brain in certain way. Anyway, absinthe did inspire plenty of masterpiece in literature, artwork, and a very difficult piece of music that is said to have been cursed. Anyways, with the rise in popularity of absinthe, the sales in wine decreased. Wine company and wine lobbyists could not allow this to continue for long, therefore they began smear campaign against the drink absinthe. Their main argument was that particular compound found in wormwood and several other plants that was used in their production. This argument did not exactly hold much ground until after a particular incident where a man said to have consumed too much absinthe and end up eliminating his entire family and then himself. So after that particular incident, the drink absinthe has been banned. That ban lasted for about a century. Until recent year, the ban has somewhat modified. Absinthe has been allowed back into the market after modification from the original recipe. That modification decreased the amount of alcohol present in the drink as well as the amount of wormwood and several other plants that have similar compound is being used. Now, some says that the original recipe was still exists somewhere. However, it's hard to say. Anyways, other than being used in production of absinthe, wormwood has been used in. If you're eating or if you're a bit squeamish, I would recommend that you skip 30 seconds to a minute further ahead into the video. Now, other than being used in the production of absinthe, wormwood has been used since the time of construction pyramid to treat and expel intestinal parasite. Intestinal parasite is introduced into the host body when they consume food that is not handled or cooked properly. In the larvae stage of the intestinal parasite, they absorb nutrient from the host relatively well. They stay inside the stomach. However, eventually they do outgrow the stomach and will travel to other part of the body to absorb more nutrient. If the host is lucky, the intestinal parasite will choose to travel south and attach itself to a particular thigh muscle that resembles that of the brain muscle. However, there are cases where the intestinal parasite will travel north, where they can absorb more nutrient from the brain and also reproduce there. Almost 3 decades ago, there was a case where a otherwise healthy man health condition rapidly deteriorated. The family suspected poisoning, so an autopsy, it was unusual at the time to perform an autopsy in China. An autopsy was performed. It was found that there was intestinal parasite inside his brain. Later on, I believe it was either a family member or close friend with a similar condition also fell to the intestinal parasite. At the time, the medication was not strong enough to kill the intestinal parasite, and there was no safe medical procedure that could have extracted the intestinal parasite. Therefore, the intestinal parasite was taken more seriously, and medication did develop from then. Other than used to expel intestinal parasite, wormwood is used in traditional Chinese medicine to treat liver, stomach, and gallbladder, I believe. However, I'm not a TCM. In terms of traditional Chinese medicine, most species of wormwood that is used is generally cold in nature. Therefore, if you're female and you having that time of the month, it's not recommended that you consume this particular herb. If you, like me, have members in your family or friends that has a particular skill set in culinary, I would recommend that you keep this tea on hand for safety reasons. A bag like this, what's like 8 to 12 ounces, cost me about, I think, $13 or so on Amazon. It's relatively a good safety precaution. Anyway, that's it for today, so see ya.